Hey everyone, today's a fun one. We're talking about job interviews, both online and in person. Oh joy, it'll be fun. Okay, so after searching job sites, maybe signing up to a design agency, getting a lead from a friend, or searching agency websites, and then you send out your beautifully designed resume that has no typos. Now you've got an interview with a company that you've applied for. Congratulations. So, what do you do now? Well, the very first thing you do is you get the name and the title of the person you are interviewing with. You get their direct number, if possible, definitely their email address, the Zoom link or street address of however you're going to do the interview, and the time of your appointment. Put all of that into your calendar on your cell phone, and I would recommend also your computer, but also maybe just write it down on a piece of paper because you never know, you might lose your phone or run out of juice in the middle of something crucial while you're trying to get there or you're trying to find the Zoom link. Just write it down. The next step is research. Find out more detail about the kind of stuff that the company does, not just the skills they're looking for: digital, print, web, app development, animation, campaign development, photography, strategy, marketing. You can easily find this information on their website, but also just search the company and, the internet will come up with lots of information. It takes, 10 minutes to just trawl through what they do and get a kind of big picture about what kind of agency this is. People write about them in articles, for instance, in industry publications. They might get an award or something. So you can walk in and you'll know who some of their clients have been. You'll know that they've had a bunch of awards, and you can kind of work it into the conversation. And that kind of pre-research is valued by the people you'll be talking to. It's like, oh, this interviewee knows a bit about us, is interested in us, and has taken the time to find out about us. And then also your job will make more sense to you. It'll be like, okay, this is how I fit into this company. This is what this department will be doing for the overall company. And you would think that you have an art department, and you go to the art department. I worked for a newspaper that had 4 art departments. And my particular art department was the subscription promotion department. So all they were doing was promoting subscriptions. And then they had a bunch of other ones that were, corporate, marketing. They had all kinds of different stuff. So don't assume that you're going for the art department. There could be other ones. If you get this job through a personal connection, talk to that person before you go to the interview. And you can find out a bit about the company culture. What kind of guys are they? Are they, geeky, nerdy types? Are they like serious corporate types? You will get an idea of how workers interact in this company. You don't have to mention that in the interview, but you'll know, and you'll already know if this is the kind of place you want to work. Chances are they will give a job ad and they'll want everything in the world. You'll be able to do Adobe and animation and unicycling and, making coffee, all of this stuff. The chances are you won't know every single piece of software that they're looking for. When they ask you this, like we do a lot of work in HTML, and you only know a little bit, be prepared with an answer. You can say, yeah, I took web design. I know how to update text or images. I'm not a big coder. So you can be honest about how good you are, beyond what's on your resume. So I've recommended to you guys that if you don't, a tiny bit about something, that you say basic in front of it. So you say basic HTML, and they'll know that you're not afraid of coding, that you're clearly not interested in coding, but you can help them out in that aspect. That's a great thing to have. Somebody knows a little bit, can just say, update this quickly. And you can zoom in there and do it. And you're not sitting there coding the whole website. But also, if they've bothered to call you back, they want what you have. So don't get flustered If they're saying, do you know After Effects? They say, I know a little bit. That's fine, because they already know you're really good at Photoshop and InDesign and Illustrator or whatever. But you also say, I know some basic After Effects. So you're not scared by the program, which means you can learn. Dress. How do you dress? You dress more formally, not like you're going to a funeral, not like an ordinary office worker. Smart casual is the way to go. So you imagine that you're going to meet your girlfriend or boyfriend's parents. So you want to make an impression. You don't want to be a total slob, but you're also not going in a suit and tie, because we're creative people. Now, if you're really into suits and ties, absolutely do that. But don't make that kind of extra effort, because it sends a particular message, and you want to make sure you're sending the message that you want to send. When you're in a Zoom meeting, it's easy to forget what you're wearing. So make an effort, have something sensible on top, and make sure you're dressed all over, because a lot of times people have pajama bottoms on or underwear or whatever, and you accidentally said, let me just reach that over there, and all of a sudden your behind is sticking out, which does not make a good impression. So just put on a pair of trousers or a skirt or something, even if you never stand up and they can never tell what's underneath. Just be prepared. So then you make sure in a Zoom meeting that you're in a quiet room and that it's tidy in the background. And if it's not tidy in the background, you're prepared with one of those instant backgrounds, shows the Grand Canyon or whatever. Light yourself well so people can see your expressions and that you don't look like, horror movie or something like that. Ask your family to stay away while you're having this interview, because people walking in and out, that's not good at all. To say, okay, quiet for 1 hour while I'm taking care of this interview. As for makeup, if you're going to wear it, make it, I recommend, tasteful, low-key, possibly not Instagram face with, gigantic spider web eyelashes and tons of lipstick. Just something that just shows who you are. You're not sure who you're going to be talking to, so present yourself in a way that help you connect with all kinds of different people. So make sure you're not hungover, that you have a decent amount of sleep the night before, that you look bright and energetic. Make sure you've eaten breakfast, that you have no reason to feel uncomfortable physically, apart from the fact that you're going to an interview. So go to the bathroom before you get there. There is a statistic out there that says interviewers make up their minds about a candidate in the first 15 seconds. It doesn't mean they want to hire you in 15 seconds. It means they can write you off in 15 seconds. Basically, it's like the first 15 seconds, am I going to bother talking to this person? So I've been in interviews where it was clear that they just weren't interested in me, but they still went through the whole interview and it was torture. So make those first 15 minutes count. Look them in the eye, big nice smile. Don't hide away. It's, how you doing? Crunch over in a weird way or something. Try not to scratch your nose. And I realize looking people in the eye is tricky on a video call. So the best bet is to look straight into the camera. And it looks like that you're looking everybody directly in the eye. And the reason I'm saying everybody is because frequently on these interviews, you're being interviewed by more than one person. I went in for a freelance job one time. 5 people were interviewing me. And it was like for 2 weeks or something. Absolutely crazy. But people want a good person. So, look in the camera. So you're looking at each of them as an individual. This is something you can practice in advance with a friend. Let them tell you if you're looking in the right place. Or if you look, just get them to critique your look. How do you look on the Zoom call? Whether you are in person or on a Zoom call, be prepared with some pleasantries. If they ask, how are you? Figure out what you're going to say. Fine, thank you. I'm very happy about the World Series, or, a big Yankees fan, or whatever. Be prepared to say something, but don't tell them everything, the story of your life. This is people being pleasant to each other before the real stuff starts. What you're doing in those first couple of seconds is making a connection with somebody who you may be spending many hours of your life with. The fact is, they want to like you. They don't want to spend weeks finding a good candidate. Make yourself that good candidate by making an immediate connection. With in-person interviews, they often ask if you want a tea or coffee. Politely say yes or no. Keep in mind the interview could go on for quite a long time. With video interviews, obviously that won't happen, so just have a glass of water or a cup of tea or something there if you need it. Because you're going to be talking a lot and it can make you thirsty. If you're in person, bring several copies of your resume. For Zoom, have a PDF of your resume available on your desktop. So if anyone does not have a copy of your resume, you can quickly just zoom it over to them. By the way, I recommend that you use a computer rather than a smartphone. Your interviewers will appear larger and the setting will be more realistic. And you avoid that thing that happens when you're holding your phone and you're staring at it, and then your hand kind of relaxes because you can't really see your face because there's so many people on the Zoom call, and all of a sudden they're looking up your nose. And any little twitch of your hand kind of distorts your face. But if you're sitting in front of a Zoom camera on your computer, it's steady and consistent, and it doesn't look weird. So remember the job that you're applying for. If they're looking for someone with video editing, some HTML, and print production, which is not unusual these days, know that already so you're not taken by surprise. It's like, oh God, you mean print production? That too? No, I already know that in my head. And you have an answer. Can you do print production? Yes. What experience do you have? Have an answer ready. Never say you're bad at something. Just say, for instance, basic video editing, not bad video editing. I'm not bad at Photoshop. I have basic skills. That's all. Do not say bad. Bad is a bad word. Of course, you don't want to oversell yourself. You don't want to be in a situation that you can't handle. But most of the times, if you have a grasp of the software, unless it's something really complicated and advanced, you can usually figure it out on the fly. As junior designers, you don't know everything. You can't know everything. And honestly, nobody knows everything because everything changes all the time. There are literally hundreds of programs out there. Every program is highly complex. And the reality is we're always learning on the job. There are always times in the office when software is updated and you all need to learn the new changes. This is normal studio practice. Don't think you have to know everything, but you do need to know some things really well. And that's the reason that they want to hire you, possibly. So know that when you put it on your resume. You got the so-and-so prize, and know what it was for and why you got it and what was the prize. Was it money? Was it a holiday in Pennsylvania? I don't know. You were a member of a club. What did the club do? Be able to explain if they ask, and that goes for everything on your resume. There was a speaker from Gray Advertising, came to City Tech for a Meet the Pros presentation. And he said that the interviewers like to see there's evidence of interest in the design community outside of your job and outside of your classroom. So, once again, it is a very good idea to put on your resume that you belong to a design organization of some kind. And I suggest you join one before you graduate and get the student rates. So when you mention that you are a member of the One Club, or the Type Directors Club, Society of Publication Designers, the Society of Illustrators, AIGA, SIGGRAPH, or that you go to design meetups, or you are involved in alumni organizations, or that you're a member of a club here at City Tech, or you take drawing classes at the Art Students League, or you're a member of the Design Museum up at Columbus Circle, or you go to typography lectures at Cooper Union, or that you do software tutorials online. Mention what design-related YouTube or Vimeo channels that you follow. Any of these would show your commitment to the career and your craft. I'm not saying you have to do all those things, but you should do at least one. Ideally, more than one. 2 or 3. Join AIGA and watch some, tutorials online. Just do some of that stuff because you need to keep up with it. And you also need to meet more designers. There's nothing wrong with revisiting your resume this week, putting in some more stuff. You can add an organization this week and add it to your resume. And this might be a good time to do some research on design organizations and see which one will suit you the best. Remember, these are listed on Brightspace in course materials. Now, if you've worked with a fellow student on a project, when your interviewer looks at that project, mention your team members and describe how you came up with your concepts and describe what aspect of it that you designed. Talk about the shared project in detail and who did what. A huge thing in design studios is the ability to work with others, and it is a vital skill that is highly valued. And if you mention your team members, it shows that you give credit where credit is due, which is also very important. If you hand-lettered something, or you designed a font, or you were the photographer for a project, or you did an illustration, this is the time to mention it. Show off a bit. Tell them what you have done. Don't hide from your accomplishments. Show off your skills. Now, I hate to be sexist about this, but women have a hard time blowing their own trumpet. Just grit your teeth and say what you did. It's the truth, right? Some of you don't have a problem blowing your own trumpet, but those of you that do have a problem with it, practice. Practice with a friend. Say, I did this and I did this and I did this. That's all it takes. And you say it with a smile. You're not apologizing. You're not showing off. You're saying, yeah, I'm a really good person for this job. In your portfolio, which we will be getting to, the actual website and PDF, we'll be getting there around week 10, which is about 3-4 weeks from now, basically after Thanksgiving. In your portfolio, I always recommend that you avoid long explanations on the page. But be prepared to give a longer explanation about a project if asked in an interview. Not the story of your life, but a longer explanation if they ask for it. Now, some of you can get a bit wordy in your explanations, and it's good that you can be wordy, but you really want to kind of cut to the chase. The concept was this. We discussed it. We had 3 options. It was this. And we said, okay, what channels? And so we did that. So-and-so did this, that, and the other. It's not. And then we were thinking about long walks in the country, and then we were, thinking about the moon and blah, 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 blah. And my professor always said blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. You want to avoid the blah, blah, blah. You want to tell them the most pertinent facts about this project and how it related to you. When you work as a designer, you find yourself working with different people during different aspects of a project. You will need to talk to web developers, print production people, branding people, clients, client reps, other designers, UI, UX people, writers, editors, not to mention your boss and their boss. So showing evidence that you're able to work with others is so important. And this is the kind of thing that comes out in an interview. It's easier to talk about stuff than to put long explanations on your resume or your portfolio, because frequently they just never read that stuff, particularly in the portfolio, because they often want to make sure that the visual is doing the job. So if you see an advertisement in a subway, for instance, you don't see an explanation next to it. This is what this ad is all about. The ad needs to do the speaking. And I've mentioned this to a bunch of you in your presentations. And always you want to make it as short as possible. You want to focus on the most important stuff. You don't want to repeat over and over and over and over and over again. And then we thought about this, and then we thought about that, and then we thought about this, and then we thought about that. Already you're getting bored. You don't want these people to get bored. You want to come to your cool ideas as soon as possible. At some point in the interview, they will ask you, do you have any questions? What question do you have about our company? you want to have a couple of questions in your back pocket. When does the job start is always a good question. Something relevant to the research you have done on the company is always good. Like, I see you do a lot of work in the sports industry. Is that the main focus of your agency, or are you expanding into other areas? Things that relate to what they do already. You're showing off that you've done the research. So this is where we come to the fun part. I have divided you into groups, and if you have been watching our videos, you will already be in contact to proof each other's cover letters and resumes. If you haven't watched all of our videos, now is a good time to do it. They're all posted under assignments in Brightspace. That particular assignment is for you to send your cover letter and resume to the other members of your groups, and they will proof them for you, and you will proof theirs. So there should be 3 people in each group. I think one student has dropped out, so there may be one group that is just 2 people. But basically, just read their stuff, check for any mistakes, check for anything that is unclear. And then these are the people that you're going to work with on this new project. Your assignment is to go to course materials on Brightspace, and you will buddy up with your group members and practice interview questions, either on Zoom or in person. In the group, you act as interviewers to one person at a time. So there's 2 of you asking questions to the third person. There's a bunch of questions. Do them all. Don't choose the ones you think are right, because some of those questions are out of left field and they actually appear on interviews. I did not make any of these up. When you've completed this, post in discussions who you met with and give a quick description of how it went. And if you have any problems or questions, and everyone should post. So there's 3 people in your group. Every person in the group needs to report back. And all you're doing is saying, how did this go? Was this what I expected? Was this unexpected? Was there anything particularly difficult to answer? And honestly, if you think some of these questions are ridiculous, I've had them on interviews. Former students of mine have had them on interviews. And it's not that they actually want to care about the answer to those, but they want to see that you can think on your feet. And it's a good thing to practice. Remember, interview, then post on Brightspace. Please do this in the next 2 weeks. Get it over with early so you don't need to squeeze it in later. Once again, the interview questions are on Brightspace course materials. And this is actually pretty fun. Every semester people do this and they have fun doing it. Do it properly and have fun. And that's not something you're always going to hear from a professor. And finally, you need to post on Brightspace. Those of you who have not, introduce yourself on Brightspace, which was on, week 1. Do that now. It's a separate discussion. And there's also a section where you experiment with AI, and you got to put that up, and it's on a previous video. If you have not watched these videos, go and watch them right now. But yes, watch the videos, do the assignments, and I will see you on Sunday and Monday.